So I want to welcome you this morning to the 2022 Boys and Girls Club of Metrowest Hall of Fame event. And we have some very special individuals that are going to be inducted this morning. For those of you I haven't met, which I think I know most of you, my name is Dewayne, and I head up the Metrowest clubs. And I have had the privilege of working for this organization for, we were just talking about it, over 25 years. And that's been a privilege. And I have two things. One thing that I have to mention, which is going a little off script, and Laura, who heads up our Resource Development Office, said to me, you have two tasks this morning. One, stay on script, and two, get everybody out the door on time. So I will do the best I can this morning on that. So in 2014, the Hall of Fame was first established. And it was a way to honor individuals who have been committed to the clubs, personally, professionally, and or financially. And the first three inductees that we have had into the Hall of Fame was Dave Gadbois back in 2015, Pat Pazanis in 2016, and Ron Young in 2019. Since that time, the Board of Directors has established a concrete set of criteria. We formed a nominating committee and selected our first full class of Hall of Fame inductees, and that's why we're here this morning to personally thank them and celebrate all that they have done for the youth in Marlborough, Hudson, Framingham. It's tough because I was just talking about the Marlborough Boys Club, of all things. Before I turn it over to the award ceremony, I'd like to recognize the elected officials that are in the room, and I want to thank you very much for being here this morning. Senator Jamie Eldridge, Representative Danielle Gregoire, Marlborough City Councilman Christian Dumas, and I think Sean came in. He's here, yes. And City Councilwoman Tiona Brown. I'd also like to thank our presenting sponsor this morning, which is St. Mary's Credit Union, and not only because they have been a cornerstone partner with Boys and Girls Clubs for many, many years, but also because they're dedicated to our mission, creating great futures for our community youth. So I want to thank them as well. And again, a little off script. So there are two other individuals in the room that I do want to recognize this morning because in the 25 years that I have worked here, they are the best partners we have ever had in school department. So I want to thank and recognize Mike Bergeron, who's the superintendent of Marlborough Public Schools. And he has partnered with us on everything. And now Mike is leaving in June, so what do? We sort of panic thinking somebody unknown is going to come in. But Mary Murphy, who has been with the school department and partnered with us for many years, is taking Mike's place in June. So thank you both for being here. Lastly, and certainly not least, I'd like to thank our board of directors, and I would ask all of you if you could please stand just for a moment and be recognized. This is the best board in Metrowest, just so you know. Michael Murphy, you cannot steal any. Oh, he's left. With more than 78 years of history here in Marlborough, we've had so many champions within our community who believe in the mission of our clubs and have experienced its impact firsthand. I'd like to welcome Bill Parks to the stage, a good friend, a colleague, and he's the current CEO for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Greater Westfield, and he's also a Marlborough alum. He went to the Marlborough Boys Club way back. Not to date you.
I got to get prepared here so you can see it. I don't know if that'll stay, but whatever. As Chris said, yes, I'm an alum back in the 70s. But first, I'd like to congratulate all the honorees tonight. You have a great start to your Hall of Fame, and I want to congratulate everyone that'll be going in today. I asked Chris if I could speak. I'll be retiring in a couple weeks, and I said, well, everything started here in Marlboro, so I figured I should end some of it here in Marlboro. So Chris gave me 2 minutes to fill 52 years in 2 minutes. So, so I'm going to go quick. But first and foremost, I want to thank the Marlboro Boys Club and the Boys and Girls Club of Metrowest for what it did for me and helped me to get to where I am today. I was a member at Rollins Ave. It was a part-time club. One day was adults, another day it was for high school kids, another 3 days it was middle school and elementary. Well, I was the kid that showed up every day. And they kept saying, Parks, you gotta go home. You gotta go home. You're not supposed to be here. And I would sneak in, and I'd get in. And finally, they just got to the point where they just said, I'll just let them stay. So that was my start at the Boys and Girls Club. Eventually the club became a full-time club. It provided many programs and started with full-time staff who became mentors of mine. They helped me in areas of social, educational, and athletics. Athletics was big back in the 70s. The club then helped guide me when I graduated to be the first in my family to attend college. And when I did attend the college, the following year I needed some financial help. And they took a step forward and were able to get me that financial help so that I could stay in school and finish my degree. Upon graduating from college, I again went to the club, and they got me my first full-time Boys and Girls Club position. That position gave me the opportunity to extend the lessons that I learned here as a club kid. And I extended those lessons to hundreds of kids and staff throughout Massachusetts and the clubs that I worked in over those years. Now it's 42 years later, and I will be retiring in a few weeks as the CEO of the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Westfield. And it's been a great ride. But as you can see, the club has always been there at major points in my life. I want to thank the club and all the staff for their support, mentorship, but more importantly for their friendship. To this day, there's so many people that I'm still close friends with that I became friends with at the Boys Club. And I can make phone calls today and talk to anybody and they'll be right there. But I'd like to send a message to all the volunteers, to the donors, to board members and staff. You are truly making a difference in the lives of kids in your club. And on behalf of all the past, present, and future kids, I want to thank you for everything you do, because you are truly changing lives. Now, I brought this t-shirt up here, and I just want to end by saying, I'm proud to say that I'm a club kid.
You did it. You did it. So Bill's retiring. Does that mean I get to retire too? Thank you, Bill. You're definitely proof that the club can have a lifelong impact on you. So after highlighting Bill, a club alumni, it's only appropriate that we also highlight one of our current club members who is building her great future right now. This young lady was selected as our 2022 Youth of the Year. And as we welcome individuals into our Hall of Fame, it is important to remember that they paved the way for future youth. So before we get started with the Hall of Fame, I'd like to welcome Mike Rugg, who's our Hudson Club Director, and he will introduce this year's Youth of the Year. Mike?
Good morning. I'm Mike Rugg, the Hudson Clubhouse Director. It's not rare to have a member grow up and want to work in the club after school. In fact, most of our afternoon staff are former club kids. but every once in a while you get a member who truly embodies everything that the club means. They've grown up in the club, they've taken advantage of every opportunity available to them, and most importantly, they serve as a role model to the younger members. For the past couple years, Victoria has worked at our front desk greeting kids after school, answering phones, and helping coordinate parent pickup process. Even though this seems like a task anyone can do, it's something that Victoria takes very seriously. She knows every child's name, she recognizes parents and their cars, and she takes the time to learn what's going on in each member's life. Beyond serving at the front desk staff for the Boys and Girls Club, Victoria has been involved in programs like Smart Girls and Keystone Club. She supported our fundraising efforts by serving as the MC at our annual gala, and she served as a leader in our community by leading and participating in service activities. Victoria will be graduating Hudson High this year and is off to Curry College to study education. Congratulations, Victoria. It's been an honor to watch you grow up in the club, and I'm so excited to see where life takes you. You will certainly be missed next year, but you will always have a home at the club.
Pictures afterwards. Congratulations, Victoria. Your future is just beginning, and we're all behind you. You can come back and visit anytime. Next, I'd like to invite up, before we get started on our awards, I know we're saving the best for last. I'd like to call up Senator Jamie Eldridge and Representative Danielle Gregoire. They have brought citations for each inductee that is here today. So if reading one of each of those, and everybody's is pretty much the same, but reading one so that everybody knows what has come down from the State House.
Thank you so much, Chris, and good morning, everyone. It's wonderful to be back together, and thank you for everyone who makes the three clubs work and thrive and just support so many young people throughout the region. And very proud to represent, obviously, Marlborough, but also Hudson. I'm reading just one of the citations, but I want to congratulate all the awardees. The citation I'm reading says, "Be it hereby known that the Massachusetts Senate hereby extends its congratulations to Mary Lou Vanzini in recognition of your induction to the Hall of Fame, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metrowest." Again, I want to congratulate all the members. We were just asked to read one citation, and it finishes and says, "The Senate extends its best wishes for continued success from Senate President Karen Spilka and your State Senator, Jamie Eldridge." Thanks.
Good morning, everyone. It's such an honor to be with you all this morning. I am very excited to be participating in this event. I was telling a colleague earlier this week, I have to be careful on Wednesday night. I've got to go home early because I've got to be at breakfast on Thursday morning. The Marlborough and other communities are doing a Boys and Girls Club Hall of Fame, and I got to go to the breakfast. And she was like, "Oh my God, that's so exciting!" And I was like, "Oh no, not me, not me." But as one of the, I think probably one of the last girls that grew up figuring out where the dead spots were on the basketball court at the girls' club, I'm just really excited to be amongst all you and so many friends in the room this morning who paved a path for the kids that are coming up today. And so thank you for having me. And with that, sorry for the strikingly similar language. And I specifically requested the Mary Lou Vanzini citation for my reading, but apparently the senator has tried to steal my thunder. So, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, the House of Representatives, be it hereby known to all that the Massachusetts House of Representatives offers its sincerest congratulations to Mary Lou Vanzini and the other inductees of the Hall of Fame this morning and in the past couple of years that we've missed celebrations for. In recognition of your service to our community and in celebration of your induction into the Boys and Girls Clubs Metrowest Hall of Fame, the entire membership of the House of Representatives extends its very best wishes and expresses the hope for future good fortune and continued success in all endeavors. Given this 19th day of May, 2022, it's signed by myself and the Speaker of the House, Ron Mariano. And thank you again to everybody who's being awarded today for your contributions to our community, and we really appreciate all the work that you've done and continue to do. Thank you.
That's great. And yes, they did want to mention all of the inductees, but again, I told them they have 2 minutes. So next, what I would like to do is call Jordelis up to the stage. Jordelis came to us. She was a volunteer back when she was a youth in high school, and she ended up becoming one of our full-time program staff in Framingham. And I can honestly say, and I think most people can say, that she's one of the individuals that helped transform our Framingham Club into what it is today. So she left for a while to raise her family. Again, this is another family-first individual. But she's now back full-time, don't tell anyone, in our resource development office, and is just doing a real bang-up job. So she's going to introduce our first inductee into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Chris. Good morning. I am Jordelis Garcia, Development and Marketing Manager of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metrowest. I met Josh in 2005. I had just graduated from Regis College and accepted a full-time position at the Framingham Clubhouse. When Josh came through our doors that year, I remember saying, "Sir, this is a Boys and Girls Club." He looked at me as if I had 8 heads. I quickly realized he was a teen. Our Framingham Club was the go-to spot. We would have more than 50 teens congregate in the games room each and every single day until 9 p.m. We would supervise them, we would feed them, we would give them advice, and be their mentor, and most times we would even drive them home at the end of the night. The year Josh joined the club, he also joined a crump dance group called V Squad. V Squad was a large group of teens, mostly made of club members that would meet up during teen nights at the clubhouse. Many called our club loud, and it was definitely loud. But it was because crump dancing was a huge part of our teens' lives. The teens would battle each other in a fun, artistic way, while everyone who is watching is cheering them on. It was definitely a sight to see. It was not long before Josh moved up to our club's recording studio on the 2nd floor of the renovated firehouse and started creating music for his crump group. Josh would spend hours in the music studio creating amazing beats, and he would teach the other kids how to do the same. Josh has a presence. Everyone looked up to Josh. Figuratively and literally. He was and still is a sweet young man who you can count on. When it came time to move from Hollis Street to Pearl Street, it was a tough transition for many members. The Hollis Street location had become our home, and it was time to move. By the time we finished the move, Josh was an adult. Josh came back and volunteered his time to put the new music studio together. Because of him, the music studio is still available for kids today. Josh, now known as Rilla Force, is now an artist, producer, and DJ. Just this April, he was signed under Sono Music Group. His signature sound is a subgenre he's coined RNBDM, a blend of future bass infused with electronic, hip-hop, and R&B. He was nominated for Best Dance Electronic Artist of the Year for the Boston Music Awards in 2019. I am now honored to present Josh as a new member of the Boys and Girls Clubs Metrowest Hall of Fame. Congrats.
Thank you, y'all. No, this is. I'm really tall, so. But, this is crazy. I just remember going to the Boys and Girls Club, being part of a dance group, and not having much. My mom raised me right here, and it's just kind of crazy because I never thought that I would have all this, and just seeing all these people here for me and the other Hall of Famers. And I just want to thank you guys and thank everyone for coming. Thank you, Jordelis, everyone from the Boys and Girls Club, my mom, my partner, and just thank you so much.
Down just a little bit. Congratulations, Josh. And as I've said over and over many times, the club believes in building great futures, and you are certainly building yours. Up next, I would like to welcome an individual, Julie Horrigan, to the stage or to the podium. Many of you probably remember Julie when she worked in our resource development office for many, many years, and she would hound people for funding. But that's not where she got started. She actually started at our Framingham Club as a part-time staff member, and she was really good. However, she did what is known as break the golden rule. And the golden rule is we always tell all of our staff we are not a dating site.
Oh my God.
Julie not only dated Mike Horrigan, another part-time staff member, she married him and now has 2 kids. So Julie, I'd love to have you come up to the stage now.
Oh, Chris. Yeah, thank you. Thanks very much. Hi, I'm Julie Horrigan, and as some of you remember me from my time here at the Resource Development Team for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metrowest, today I have the honor of introducing Paula Mina, a longtime member of the social services community, an advocate for all, and most importantly, my dad. I'm joined here today by my sister Lauren Hiller and her 1-year-old daughter, one of Paul's 6 grandchildren, Hannah Hiller. It's no coincidence that my career includes almost a decade of fundraising on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club. I was born into this movement as both my parents were club members as kids, as staff members at the beginning of their careers, and actually raised me for the first 8 years of my life living on the campus of a Boys and Girls Club summer camp that they ran together. So the Boys and Girls Clubs have always been my family's charity of choice, and it means a great deal to us that the Metrowest Club is recognizing Paul in this way. Paul has been involved with the Boys and Girls Club movement for 55 years. Not only was he a club member and a club employee, he also met his wife, Noreen, while they were both working at the club together, which is delicious. Family tradition. Sure, he appreciates all this disclosure. Paul began attending the Worcester Boys and Girls Club when he was 12 years old. His favorite activities were boxing and basketball, and he has fond memories of several staff members who acted as his mentors and helped shape him into the person that he is today. To Paul, the club meant opportunity and possibilities. Paul showed leadership skills very early on as a club member, and when he was 18 years old, he was awarded the Regional Youth of the Year for the Worcester Boys Club in 1973. After graduating high school, Paul continued his affiliation with the club by working as the director of the Lincoln Square Boys Club for 14 years, and as director of the Camp Hargrove for 8 years. A former club member reflected on the impact that Paul made on his life. He said, quote, "A lot of us growing up didn't have dads that were present in our lives. Paul taught us a lot of us what it means to be a man. He taught us about responsibility, compassion, and generosity." Today, Paul is the president and the chief executive officer of the United Way of Tri-County, a post that he's held for 25 years, and he's also the executive director of Massachusetts 211. Some of his proudest moments professionally include working side by side with his friend and BGCMW executive director Ron Young to successfully broker the merger of the Marlboro Boys. This is killing me right now. To successfully broker the merger of the Marlboro Boys and Girls Club, Girls Inc., the Hudson Boys Club, and the Hudson Youth Center into what is now known as the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metrowest. Paul was also an integral part of the opening and expansion of the Framingham Clubhouse. He has spent his career working to secure resources for social services agencies to strengthen communities across Massachusetts. Although he has raised many millions of dollars and has worked closely with a long list of impressive donors, executives, and public officials, his favorite experiences certainly include dressing up as Santa for the club members of the Framingham Clubhouse, distributing turkeys to families in need on Thanksgiving, and interviewing club members competing in the annual Youth of the Year competition as he did many years ago. The Boys and Girls Clubs of Metrowest mean so much to Paul, and the fact that he wasn't able to join us this morning certainly weighed heavily on his heart. He recorded a brief message of gratitude that Laura, I'm sure, will play for you in a moment. But before she does, I just wanted to share a quick story that illustrates the positive impact that Paul made through his work at the Boys and Girls Club. Last summer, Paul and Noreen, our mom, were out for dinner at one of their favorite restaurants. And when Paul was walking into the restaurant, another patron actually held the door open for him when he walked in. And then that man proceeded to the front of the restaurant. So when it was my dad's turn to pay for his meal, the cashier said, sir, your meal's been paid for by this gentleman over here. And my dad was very surprised, understandably so, when he said, oh, thank you so much, would you please let me repay you? And the man said, 30 years ago, you did something so kind for me that changed my life forever. And the least I can do is buy you dinner tonight, Paul. Yeah. And he wouldn't tell my dad his name, and they just shook hands and parted ways. But if my dad was able to be here today, he would tell you that this is an example of the important impact that Boys and Girls Clubs make in the lives of kids that they serve every day. He would also thank you for being here, and he would likely call you all fine Americans. So on behalf of Paul, I thank you for being here this morning and for your continued and generous support of the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metrowest.
Well, good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I'm sorry I can't be there in person to receive this honor. I'm very pleased to be inducted into the Boys and Girls Club Hall of Fame. The Boys and Girls Club has meant a tremendous amount to me and my family. And, my experience with the Metrowest Boys and Girls Club began on my second day in Metrowest when I was visited by a visionary guy who loved to laugh and tell me all the plans that he had for the great new Boys and Girls Club of Metrowest, and that was Ron Young. Ron and I became fast friends, and we became colleagues and confidants, and I miss him terribly. And I'm so glad that he's being honored as well every year by the issuance of the Ron Young Award, and I want to congratulate Paddy for receiving that award this morning. I just want to say the Boys and Girls Club is an important place to be for children and for their families. You can't get a better investment than to give to the Boys and Girls Club. A place where kids go in the door, and it doesn't matter if they're black, white, or purple, or pink, they're all the same. Everybody walks through that door, and they are the same. They get the same opportunities. They get the same chance to succeed. And I'm so proud to have been involved with Boys and Girls Clubs my entire life. So thank you for the honor. I'm grateful. I miss Ron very much, and I hope that all of you have a wonderful event this morning. Chris is doing a great job, and all of us at United Way continue to support the Boys and Girls Club because of the great work that you do. Have a great day.
Thanks. We'll see if this works a little bit better. We just did that to you, Jules, just to throw you off. And that's a congratulations, Julie. Thank you for doing this. And, Paul has dedicated so much of his time to not only Boys and Girls Club, but also to the community of Metrowest and everything that he's been doing. And, he's inspired me. He's a mentor of mine. And it's been an honor working, now I can say, beside him for the last few years. There are so many individuals who work tirelessly to build our organization to be what it is today. Unfortunately, some of those individuals passed before we had a chance to honor them in this way. Despite them not being able to be here with us today, it is still important that we recognize the work and the endless hours that they spent making a difference. I'd like to welcome Jeff Stupik to the podium to introduce our next recipient. And most people who live in Marlborough know who Jeff Stupik is. He's worked at the clubs for many years. Parents and kids love him, and he's just a tall kid.
Good morning to everybody. So many familiar faces here. It's great to see. Shout out to Vicki and Isaac, table 1 right there. Jeff Stupik's my name, sports and rec coordinator at the Marlborough Club of Metrowest. I was at Hudson for a while, now I'm back into the Marlborough one, so it's real fun. I've worked at the club for many, many years, and I've just had the honor of working alongside many great individuals, especially people like Bill Miller. Bill Miller was a lifelong Marlborough resident who graduated from Marlborough High School and then worked at Raytheon for more than 40 years. As a child, Bill was a member of the Boys Club. He was awarded the Boy of the Year award, and then he received the Man of the Year award later on in life for his dedication and services to the youth of Marlborough. In 1956, Bill joined the junior board of directors. And most of us know in here that know Bill. Bill had a great passion for the game of basketball, both playing and serving as an official. As one of the top officials in Central Mass, Bill served on the local board and trained new officials annually. In the 1970s, Bill helped found the Marlboro Youth Basketball Association through the then Marlboro Boys Club. The youth basketball program is still running today at the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metrowest and serves 700 kids annually. Bill remained involved with the basketball program over the years as he scheduled and managed the referees for all the games. Bill served as a ref for many of the games that I played in and coached through the years. I also had the privilege of working alongside Bill when coordinating the Welland tournament. It was a high school age tournament. That program relied on Bill's connections and expertise to help manage all the moving parts, and he did a great job with that tournament. Throughout the years, Bill stayed very involved with the club. He served as the treasurer for the board of directors for many years and was a dedicated weekly volunteer for bingo, the club's largest fundraiser at the time. He believed in the mission of the Boys and Girls Club and gave of his time, treasure, and talent to help carry out that mission. Bill passed away on March 17, 2016, after a courageous battle with cancer. He was surrounded by friends and family. Bill's wife, Janet, and son, Michael, are here today to accept the award on his behalf. We are forever grateful to Bill and all he did for the clubs. I'll tell a quick story about Bill. When I was a young man, probably it was mid-90s, working at the Boys and Girls Club, I didn't know Bill Miller. I knew him as Mr. Miller, and he was a very intimidating guy. Just from seeing him referee the games that I played in and whatnot, you knew not to mess around with this guy. So at that time, the Boys and Girls Club did a live auction in the gym. Now, I was a part-time worker there. I had a couple of my friends who were part-timers there as well. Those guys, the guys that I was with, were part-time workers there. They did the part-time thing. They gave kind of part-time effort too. They didn't take it as seriously as me. My program director, David T. Grasso, great guy, he warns us, he says, that night we're going to have this live auction there and Bill Miller's going to be there. And I was like, oh man, I don't want to get this guy upset. So I wanted to make sure every task he gave me, I was going to do to a T. So the time comes, we set it all up, we used all the bingo tables, set it up, everything's there. Now remember, it's a live auction, there's pieces there and stuff like that. So he gives us all our tasks. All right, so we have our tasks. As he's talking through them, I'm just nodding. Yep, I don't really say much at that time. I was a pretty shy kid. I was just like, yep, I'll do this. Yep, yep. The two guys I was with, they're kind of fighting back and forth on who gets what task, because the job that they got, they don't really like. They don't really want to do it too well. So it was kind of we're going back and forth. And finally, Bill, as most people know Bill, he would get your arm around, he'd put his arm around you. He said, hey, guys, listen. It's not about what you want. It's not about what I want right now. It's just about the club, okay? This is a big event for the club. Instantly, those two kids who grew up through the club, it was like a switch turned off. They were like, yeah, we're sorry, sir. You know what I mean? Just like that. Then he pointed over to me in the corner. He said, guys, be more like this guy. He's just nodding and keeping his mouth shut over here in the corner. And I was like, yes, I got his approval. I got his approval. He was just a great guy. So we did that event, and finally he told my program director at the end of the night, he's like, those guys, they just did a great job, blah, blah, blah. So I was really happy to hear about that. I saw him a couple years later. I mean, he was always throughout the club, but I didn't really see him too often because he was in the meetings as part, I'm in the after-school program. So we had bingo at the time, which should get you in the Hall of Fame automatically if you worked it. We walk in the door, so now we were in an alumni basketball league, so you could get a little bit of money off your team in the league if you worked one bingo a month. So we're like, yeah, sure, we'll do that. We'll save some money. So we walk through the door. Who is it? It's me and the two kids that were just kind of fooling around. And Bill sees us as soon as we walked in. He goes, this crew here, oh God, you're not going to give me a hard time again. He remembered after 2 years. He remembered all that. But what really struck me about that day when he said that about the club, he said, this is about the club. I was like, here's someone who cares about the club as much as I do. You know what I mean? Like, I grew up through there, and I was working there. I really cared about the club, and it struck me like I never really put it together that an adult could love the club just as much as I do. You know what I mean? So just really something that really struck me. You know, it stayed with me for a long time. I can hear myself saying that to kids now, or parents and stuff like that. The way he spoke, it was just so, it wasn't mean, but it was so pure. He just said, hey, it's about the club. A lot of times I can say that to the kids, hey, it's about the program here, like with your fellow kids and fellow members here. So just, he really had a way of getting to me that day, all right? He did a great job. Years later, ran the basketball program with him, and some of my fondest memories are just standing in that Boys and Girls Club gym with him, talking about calls. He did the referees. The guys at Table 6 know about that. So they would do the referee courses and whatnot, and they would argue and bicker about, like, was that the right call? Is this the right call? Blah, blah. And it's just some of my fondest memories of just seeing these guys talk to Bill and the way they all communicated about this is the way it is and this and that. It was just a real fun time. So I would say that night at that auction in the 90s was the night that I met Bill Miller. And like the last few times I ever saw Bill Miller was in that same exact gym. And he was the same guy then, just very respectful, and he was just always about the club. So I'd like to call up Mike and Janet. Come on up here to receive Bill Miller to the Hall of Fame.
Good morning. First, congratulations to all the Hall of Fame inductees being recognized today. From my understanding, it is earned and well-deserved. Just like you, we wish that we had an additional one, Bill, here with us today. As Bill could not be here personally to accept this recognition, we feel him in spirit, and we accept this for him on his behalf. As mentioned, Bill was a critical part of the process that helped several programs at the club. Bill was part of many local and national clubs, but when he mentioned the club, we all knew the club that he was referring to, as he always held it in high regard. Many of the programs that Bill started, or helped start, many, many years ago, continue to thrive today. We were all fortunate to have Bill in our lives, and it gives us great satisfaction to know that the work that he started at the club years ago continued to help many. With thanks to all involved at the club and the Hall of Fame nominating committee, we humbly accept this recognition in Bill's honor.
Okay, I told everyone else 2 minutes. I didn't tell Jeff because he doesn't like to get up here. Thank you, Janet and Michael. I appreciate you being here today, and I really, Bill was so committed of his time and talent to the clubs, and we'll be forever grateful, so thank you. Next, I'd like to welcome up to the stage, up to the podium, Maggie Gaudiani, and introduce our next award winner. So come on up, Maggie. And Maggie is not only a former board member with Boys and Girls Club. When I walked in 1996, Ron Young said, "I'd like to have you meet one of our board members." And she comes walking in, and I'm like, oh no. She was my high school hockey coach. I'm not sure, she was a great coach, great mentor, but I'm not sure I was the best athlete at that point of time. But Maggie came up from Rhode Island this morning, and she will do our next inductee.
Good morning. I'm honestly going to tell you that Chris and the rest of that team that first year, I don't know how I made it as their coach. I coached at Framingham South High School, and it was one of my first coaching experiences while I was in college, and I thought, I'm not sure I'm going to do this anymore. However, I digress. So, good morning. I was truly surprised when I received a call from Chris asking me to come here today to introduce a longtime friend of mine. I'm honored to stand here today and reflect briefly on Mary Lou Vanzini's legacy of leadership and action that is still a part of her DNA today and still affecting the city and the youth of Marlborough. Her concern for young people, young women, women's rights, your children, my children, and making good citizens. Teaching right from wrong, and that if you utilize the tools, have the desire, and she always has had the vision, never give up on things that you can get done. She never stops acting, and that action always has a result. She lives and breathes Marlborough, as does her beautiful family that she brought up and directed through life as a loving wife, mother, and role model who always had family first at home, but found the time to give outside the home and care enough to take action. Chris and our staff put together talking points today, but these are mine. In our lives, there are many people who come in and out. Some stay, some you always see, and many, unfortunately, we don't always see. Mary Lou, this is a combination of the many that you don't see often, but leave a mark. Make a connection, are always the ones that you can reach out to, even after a period of time of not being physically together. Mary Lou is that person for me. I met her over 35 years ago in Marlborough when I came to be on the board of the Boys and Girls Club, and my children became members of the clubhouse. We connected. We had common ideas, strong desires to do the right thing for the students of Marlborough and find a way to get it done. I often called on her for advice, and later in life, when each of our brothers died from the same awful disease, we often spoke to comfort each other and try to figure it out. She does have a soft side. She is a remarkable woman, a visionary who with Delma all those years ago talked about starting a project, questioned, and figured out a way to get it done, which is one of the reasons why we're here today. Maya Angelou is a favorite poet of mine, and just one of the quick ones I wanted to read you. The phenomenal woman, but those women who really like Maya Angelou, we all know what that one is. This quote I find particularly good for Mary Lou. People may forget what you said, people may forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And that is the legacy of Mary Lou Vanzini. She's a shining example of a woman who has dedicated her career to speaking up, taking action, advocating for children and youth, and truly making a difference. Thank you, Mary Lou. Thank you so much.
We're doing photos after. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
You and I can sneak out.
Yeah.
I love photos.
Oh, boy. Good morning. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Oh, it's just so overwhelming. I want to thank the Marlborough Boys and Girls Club and all of those involved with the Hall of Fame induction, acknowledging my efforts and providing me the opportunity to say thank you to all of those, including many of you here who helped make the Marlborough Girls Club a reality. The interaction and the results, okay, I have children, my children, who went to the Marlborough Girls Club, who had their children who went to the Marlborough Boys and Girls Club. Or actually, maybe it was the Boys Club at the time. Whatever. Congratulations to all of you Hall of Fame. You and other people that are here who are not nominated have done so much for our community. It's been over 50 years since Delmer and myself. Delmer, you could say hello. It's my alter ego, my partner in crime, and was there 50 years ago. We walked together with our children in our carriages all over and talked about all sorts of things. And it was at that time we decided that we really needed a girls' club. Maybe it was when we were out walking and we walked by the boys' club on Rollins Avenue that had all sorts of programs, and they said, why not us? And so that's where we began, and that's where we started. We wanted a place, a girls' club, where girls could be themselves, to learn, to laugh, to experience, to succeed or fail, and learn how to cope and grow as girls. This has been a long time ago, okay? Over 50 years, you know, your memory's blurred and what you remember and don't remember. So if I misspeak, just, you know, go over it. So we went forward. We spoke to people in the community. We moved ahead. Our biggest supporter was the director of the Boys Club, Joe Hannigan. And without Joe Hannigan, along with a host of other people, it would have been very difficult for us to achieve what we did. We held our first meeting at the Mitchell School, which is now the home of the Marlboro Boys and Girls Club. We invited a lot of prominent people, mostly men, because women were not that prominent at the time. Most of the men and people, well, mostly men, that were there were very positive about our thoughts, what we look at, what we wanted to do. There were still some who believed that girls belonged at home with their mothers and in the kitchen, as opposed to being at a girls' club doing frivolous things. That was our beginning. We passed the hat that night because previous to that, any money we had came out of our pockets, out of our food allotment, whatever our budget was. And in order to go forward, they suggested we pass the hat, we could buy our own stamps. And on we went. So with the help of friends and mentors, besides Joe Hannigan, was Lou Monte, Donald Bruno, Lou Galone, Ralph Grasso, Lee Chaplin, president of the Marlboro Savings Bank, Jack Klein, the electric company, the gas company, and a very special lady, Addie Giannetti. The world was very different here at that time. Whoops. We need to spend, most of those people have passed away, except Elmer and I. And we need to say special thanks to them, because without them, we would not have been able to proceed. They helped us to become a nonprofit organization, to find a place to call our own at that time, which is the big brown building on the corner of Mechanic and Lincoln Street, and it's still there. I'm not sure what the name of it is. We worked out of the second floor. We had to walk up umpteen stairs to get there, but we managed. We had cooking classes at the gas and electric companies who actually had working kitchens on Main Street. So when you went in to look for a stove, they showed you how to use it. They held cooking classes for us. And Lou Galone, I'm sure, was delighted to welcome our little girls into classes at his beautiful red brick building on Bolton Street, which he insisted, you take every single piece of scrap of whatever home with you. Don't dirty my building. But Everybody knew Lou Galone, and he was there, and he gave us what we needed. And we kept on growing, eventually buying the beautiful house on Pleasant Street that was the Marlboro Girls Club. It was hard, it was stressful, it was worrisome, but it was also exhilarating. And we worked because everybody worked together. Everybody stepped up year after year after year. It began hour by hour, day by day, month by month, year by year. But things changed. Girls began to believe in themselves, to stand up for themselves. They worked hard. They learned what people said they couldn't learn. They did what people said they couldn't do. To be someone that people said they couldn't be. They were in a better world. All that work over time made Marlboro a better place to be. Many of you here have come through and spread your wings so that what we accomplished, you shared and they've shared, and it has grown. We are in a better place, but we can be in a much better place if we continue to work together to put people first and go forward and continue being concerned about the world around us and what we're going to leave it to be. Thank you all very much for being here. It's just amazing to see and remember all of you and the times we've shared together. Thank you.
Okay, so we have one more inductee to honor this morning, and I have to say that in some organizations, board members fade or they lose their passion over time, but not these two. I'd like to welcome Mr. John Petran up to the podium, and he's going to introduce his colleague of 20-plus years. And these two have been very committed to this organization for almost as long as I have been here, and they've mentored me over the years. John, I was going to say something wise, and I said, no, I better not. John, come on up.
Thank you. Thank you for being here today. What a great day this is. Seeing some folks haven't seen in a very long time and getting together. And Maggie Gaudiani, geez. I think we chaired the 50th anniversary together, which was what, 1995 maybe? Going back and, yeah. And Delma Jostin, I worked with Delma, over 20 years ago, and the Tuies are here. So I gotta go back and say hi to you guys on the way out. It's just an amazing morning seeing some, great old friends here today. But today, it's certainly my honor to introduce Rosemary Cawley to you. A good friend and colleague, as Chris said, we met when we merged. What mergers can do, right? So we merged Hudson and Marlboro operations back well over 20 years ago. Rosemary began her career as a strong advocate for children and youth in 1973 when she was hired as a special education teacher in the Hudson Public Schools. She spent 35 years advocating for children and youth in Hudson Public Schools until she retired in 2008. Rosemary first became involved with the organization in 1995 when she served as a board of governor and member of the scholarship committee for the Hudson Youth Center. Her children were active in both the Hudson Youth Center and Girls Inc. in Marlboro. In 2000, the Hudson Youth Center, Hudson Boys and Girls Club, and the Boys and Girls Club of Marlboro merged, creating the Boys and Girls Clubs of Metrowest. Rosemary joined the board of directors with the goal of ensuring that quality programs and operations were delivered at all locations to serve all children. She has been a member of the operations committee since she joined the board. Rosemary wants to ensure that Not only members receive quality programs with the state-of-art equipment, but also that staff on the front lines receive the training and support necessary to succeed in all locations. Rosemary will be the first to say, how will these changes affect operations and what are we going to do about it? She believes in the mission of Boys and Girls Clubs of Metro West and has worked tirelessly on behalf of the organization to ensure it succeeds. She is great at reminding finance people like me that we are not dealing with widgets, but with young people who need us to be at our best. Beyond the Boys and Girls Club, Rosemary helped create the Sci-Tech Camp in Hudson for children, served on a board and as co-chair of the Mass Council for Children, and served on the United Way of Tri-County Board. She also served on the Commonwealth Commission of Judicial Conduct that investigates complaints on judges and continues to serve on the board for Reach Out for Schools. That's how much she is respected at all levels, that she gets to oversee conduct of judges of what occurs in this state. So Rosemary is an example of how one individual can make a difference in the lives of children and youth. She has dedicated her career and beyond to speaking up and advocating for youth, particularly those who may not have a voice. Rosemary, it is truly an honor to work alongside you, to witness your advocacy for our members, and to congratulate you on this exciting honor. So please come on up.
We do photos after.
Follow the order.
Okay, how far can we go? Is that working? Okay. So Chris gave me 30 seconds. It's really interesting to be here today because, and I'm going to get to know you, Joshua. I know other people besides Joshua, so I need to get to know Joshua. But the people that are being honored today are giants and visionaries and large people in many ways. But some of us are nuts and bolts people. And I just want to say there's a real place in the Metrowest Boys and Girls Club for nuts and bolts people. The people that make sure the budgets are sound, that operations is never forgotten, and that the staff at each of the clubs, all three of our wonderful clubs and our services within the Marlborough Public Schools, the staff is where it's at. We talk about the children. Of course, it's the only reason we're here. But without our staff, we can't service those children. So these are the glory people. You know, we do everything we can for them. But in the end, where did they all go? They all went back down there. Trouble table down there, wave your hands. Wave the hands, staff. Would you have all the staff stand up? Do that. Let me finish my 30 seconds, please. All the staff stand. I insist. All the staff stand up. All of you. Come on. We thank you sincerely from the bottom of our hearts. And it's a place for every single person here in their local Boys and Girls Clubs. The Boys and Girls Club of Metro West is only as strong as volunteers, and every other club in every other town that you're in needs you too. Thank you very much.
Back up.
Okay, so congratulations to all our 2022 Hall of Fame inductees. Each of these individuals has served as an inspiration to me, and it's an honor to lead an organization that each of these individuals has worked so hard to better in our community. The final award that we have today is the Ron Young Memorial Award. Now, Ron Young led the Boys and Girls Club of Metro West for 13 years, and he spearheaded the merger of the Hudson facilities with the Marlborough facilities, the introduction of the growth of the Framingham Clubhouse, and actually Ron spent his 43-year career in Boys and Girls Club movement. The last 13 was in Metro West. Beyond being an incredible leader for our club, Ron was definitely a mentor for me. He taught me lessons along the way that not only bettered me in the moment, but also prepared me for my current role that I'm in today. He was a leader in every sense of the word. And after dedicating his life to Boys and Girls Club, Ron passed away after a courageous battle with Parkinson's in December of 2021. And in his memory, the Boys and Girls Club of Metrowest and his wife Jan created the Ron Young Memorial Award. This Lifetime Achievement Award will be given annually to a dedicated supporter, volunteer, or staff member who has carried on Ron's legacy by making significant contributions to the club. It's a special honor, especially this year. And I think at this time, I would like to welcome a very special guest up to the stage, Alana Basquette. Alana is a very special young lady who has been involved with our clubs in various capacities. Come on up. She is a former staff member, loved working at the club, loved the kids, and was very good at it. But her most recent was she and her classmates, and she organized this, and her classmates that are studying to be physician assistants, she organized them to come to the club and run healthy living and wellness activities with the kids. And the kids loved it, the staff loved it, and they're requesting her to come back again with her buddies there. But she has a very special honor today that she's going to present, and that's going to be for the Ron Young Memorial Award. Right there.
Good morning. My name is Alana Basquette, and I have the honor of introducing the first Ron Young Memorial Award recipient. Throughout the Boys and Girls Club universe, Paddy Maylie is known as the glue that has kept everything together for more than 20 years. But in my and my family's universe, she's my aunt. Paddy began her career at the club in January of 2000 as the executive assistant to Ron Young. In addition to the variety of administrative tasks, Paddy was the direct liaison between the president's office and the board of directors and staff. She had the immense responsibility of supporting the club's capital campaign, working closely with campaign consultants and influential members of the community. Paddy's natural ability to multitask and organize made her the perfect fit for the role of resource development assistant. When the development office needed fundraising and event planning assistance, in addition to supporting the club president, she adopted the year-long task of soliciting, securing, and organizing silent auction items for the annual Bids for Kids auction and gala, as well as assigning and managing volunteers to oversee the auction the night of the event. Paddy worked tirelessly to help carry out the organization's mission. Paddy was dubbed the Director of First Impressions. She sincerely listened with real interest to everyone she spoke with. Her smile and unique ability to express hope during any change or challenge at the clubs often had her coworkers asking, what would Paddy Maylie do? Always going above and beyond was her baseline expectation because she believed in the organization and she believed in the people she worked with. Family first has always been Paddy's top priority. I always knew the club was a special place because of how it meant to my nanny. The Ron Young Memorial Award is meant to be awarded in recognition of one's lifetime achievements, and Paddy has far exceeded those expectations. So on behalf of our entire family and everybody at the clubs, congratulations, Nani. You deserve this honor.
Well, I was very composed, and now I'm not. Thank you. I am honored and humbled to be receiving the Ron Young Memorial Award this morning. In January 2000, Ron welcomed me into the Boys and Girls Club family. I had no idea at that time how that would have impacted my life. Ron opened a door to a whole new world for me. He gave me the opportunity to prove to myself that I was capable of so much more than I ever thought possible. Ron approached each day with passion and enthusiasm, and he had a really smooth way of drawing you in by prefacing each assignment he gave you with, "Oh, it'll be fun, and you'll like it." Well, it was fun, but I didn't just like it, I absolutely loved it. I am so grateful to have learned from one of the best and to have worked with so many of you here in the room this morning. It was such a privilege. Thank you, Chris. Thank you to the Board of Directors, to the staff. I am truly honored to be the recipient of the Ron Young Memorial Award.
I'm just going to do one last editorial and then I'll turn it over to Carrie Corkin. This was a difficult decision as who was going to present this award, and they thought that maybe I could do this award and I would have been bawling up here. So Alana, thank you for taking the lead on this one because I couldn't do it.
I now have 15 seconds. Good morning, everybody. On behalf of the board, the staff, and the kids who rely on the Boys and Girls Club of Metrowest every day, thanks again for being here this morning. We extend our sincere congratulations to each of the inductees and award winners. And I'll say, standing up here now, but having listened to what all these people have contributed over the years and years in their dedication. I recently heard the phrase imposter syndrome, and I'm suffering from imposter syndrome standing up here on behalf of the board. I'm Carrie Corkin, I'm president. And as Chris said, this event has been a long time in the making. The planning started in 2019 for a spring 2020 event, and we all know what happened since then. After a 2-year delay, it's a pleasure having you all here in person. The Boys and Girls Club of Metrowest has impacted so many kids over the years, and it's largely because of the dedication of individuals honored here, and you. I'd also like to take a moment to thank the staff. They've been mentioned a couple of times, and clearly without them, the Boys and Girls of Clubs of Metrowest wouldn't exist. Our program staff, our administrative staff, work incredibly hard every day, and I'd like them all to just stand up for a minute and we can recognize them one time. Thank you all again. We're here to celebrate these individuals who have dedicated their lives to bettering our community's youth and building this incredible organization. Today, the clubs serve youth for only $25 per year, less than 15 cents per school day. Think about that for a minute. Because of these dedicated individuals, there's 6,200 kids who walk through our doors every year for less than 15 cents a day. You can't buy much for 15 cents, especially today. And we're giving them a safe and fun place to go for that. As you can imagine, the actual operating expenses for a day far exceed 15 cents, closer to $7,000. Less than 7% of the club's operating expenses are actually covered by membership fees. And that's the way the clubs are made accessible for every child, and every child has an opportunity to attend. I'd like to ask each and every one of you to join me in making a meaningful gift to the club in honor of the amazing individuals who we're honoring here today. As you can imagine, every dollar counts. There's envelopes on the table. You can make a gift with a credit card at the registration table.
find any one of us, we'll certainly help you make a gift to the club. I'd like to again thank you for being here, for supporting the honorees, mostly for being champions for the Boys and Girls Club of Metro West. To each of the honorees, we extend a special thanks for helping to shape an organization that the entire Metro West community can be proud of, and for helping to ensure that every child has a safe place to go. Each of you here deserve this special recognition and our special thanks. We hope to see you all at future club events in person, and enjoy the rest of your day. Thanks for coming.